Mount Everest, the highest place on Earth and one of the deadliest. For decades, it's been a symbol of human achievement and of human tragedy. More than 300 climbers have died trying to reach its summit. Around 200 of them remain up there on the mountain, preserved by cold, trapped in ice, and frozen forever in their final resting place. Their bodies rest along routes that climbers still use today. Some are buried by snow and ice and rock, others lie completely out in the open. Silent reminders of how ambition can turn to disaster. Tonight we're going to explore the story behind these frozen souls, who they were, why they're still up there, and what their presence reveals about human desire to conquer nature's biggest challenge. This isn't just about mountaineering, this is about obsession, it's about survival, and it's about the thin line between triumph and the nightmare that could wait up above the clouds. Welcome back to Nightmare Situations. I hope you enjoyed the story tonight, and if you do, don't forget to give it a like and remember to subscribe. Now, let's get into it. At over 29,000 feet, Everest is literally the roof of the world. From a distance, it looks peaceful, majestic even. But the beauty hides an environment so brutal that it strips away the illusion of control. Above 8,000 metres lie what climbers call the death zone. Up there, the air holds only about a third of the oxygen we need to survive. Your body begins to shut down the moment you enter it. Digestion stops, muscles start to waste away, your vision starts blurring, and you struggle to think. Every heartbeat is a fight. Every breath feels like breathing through a straw. Climbers describe it as moving in slow motion through fog, pain, and exhaustion. Even with bottled oxygen, your brain and body still begins to die. Frostbite sets in quickly, and exposed skin can turn solid within seconds. And in this place, if something does go wrong, a storm hits, you run out of oxygen, and you've been left behind your team, there's little that anyone can do to help you. Rescue from above the death zone is almost impossible. The mountain's simply too dangerous, too high and too cold. And that's the reason why there are so many bodies left up there. It's simply too dangerous to try and bring them back down. Climbers do often wonder, why not bring them down? Why leave people up there, visible, frozen, year after year? The reasons are grim, to put it simply. First, you've got the altitude. At such extreme heights, every step is agony. Carrying an extra 50 or 60 kilos, the weight of a body, can kill even the strongest of Sherpas. The second is the terrain. The slopes are steep, icy, and littered with crevasses. Bodies become frozen to the rock or buried in snow. Trying to move them can cause avalanches or take rescuers into the same deadly traps. The next reason is the helicopters can't get up there to help. The thin air provides little to no lift and the aircraft can't safely get near the summit. A helicopter might be able to reach the lower camps, but it is not able to reach the upper ridges, which is where most of the deaths take place. And the final reason is simply the cost and risk of each mission to try and bring someone back down. A recovery mission can cost tens of thousands of dollars and requires very experienced climbers willing to risk their own lives. For each body that's brought down, another could easily die trying to do so. In short, on Everest, when someone dies, they usually stay there. Some families accept that, others never find peace. Over time, the mountain becomes a silent cemetery, a place where human bodies lie exactly where they fell, frozen mid-movement and left to rest for decades. Some of these bodies have become landmarks, grim markers to help guide climbers up Everest. or warn them how close they actually are to disaster. The most famous of all of these is named Green Boots. He was an Indian climber, part of a police expedition in 1996. A sudden storm struck as his team descended. He took shelter in a small limestone cave on the northeast ridge, but he never made it back. For 20 years, his body just remained there, lying on its side, knees drawn up, and face hidden by his jacket. His green mountaineering boots became a chilling symbol for everyone that passed. Climbers began using him as a waypoint, a marker that told them they were on the right route to the summit. And in photos, his shape is unmistakable, sitting just off the trail, waiting for rescue that would never come. Eventually, his body was moved to a more secluded area of the mountain, but to this day, Green Boots Cave still marks a section of the mountain that climbers use to navigate to the summit. Another is known as Sleeping Beauty. In 1998, her and her husband were attempting to become the first American couple to reach the summit without the use of oxygen support. They made it to the top, but the victory was short-lived. On the descent, she collapsed from exhaustion and oxygen deprivation. Her husband did try and save her, but then disappeared himself, likely falling to his death. She was later found by another team, still alive but barely breathing and too weak to move. The team did try to help her, but the conditions were too bad and they had to leave her behind as we went down the mountain. For years afterwards, her body lay just beneath the summit, her face turned upwards, hair frozen in the wind. Climbers began to call her Sleeping Beauty. Almost a decade later, her remains were moved to a more sheltered place on the mountain, but her legacy still remains. Further down the mountain lies a place called Rainbow Valley. It sounds beautiful, but it's one of the most horrifying places on Earth. Rainbow Valley is not a meadow of colour. It's a slope where dozens of bodies lie, each wearing brightly coloured suits, red, blue, yellow, frozen into the rock and ice. From a distance, the colours seem almost cheerful, like decorations, but up close, they're grim reminders of how fragile human life can be on this mountain. These bodies serve as unintentional signposts for climbers. In a landscape where snow and rock all looks the same for miles, these shapes become navigational markers. The truth is, the dead lead the living up Mount Everest. The presence of so many bodies on Mount Everest do raise some difficult questions. What do you do when you see someone dying on the mountain? Do you stop to help them, knowing that this in turn may cause your own death? Or do you keep climbing, pretending that you hadn't seen them through the storm? One story that still divides climbers is that of David Sharp. In 2006, Sharp attempted to summit Everest alone, with little support and minimal oxygen. He was last seen alive, sitting near Green Boots Cave, resting against a wall, motionless. Dozens of climbers passed him that day. Some thought he was already dead. Others simply didn't have the strength or the oxygen to stop. When rescuers did finally reach him, he was alive, barely, but too far gone to save. He froze to death where he sat. The mountaineering world erupted in outrage. How could so many people just simply walk past a man dying on the mountain? But those who have been to the death zone argue that morality bends when survival comes in. At that altitude, even stopping for a few minutes can be the difference between life and death for yourself. Helping another person might just be the death of you. It's an awful choice to make. Do you save a stranger, risking your own life? Or do you climb on and have to live with the guilt? Everest forces climbers to make this decision every year. There's also the issue of commercialisation. In recent years, hundreds of climbers attempt Everest every season. Some are inexperienced, relying heavily on Sherpa guides to carry supplies, set ropes, and manage logistics. For the Sherpas, Everest isn't an adventure, it's a job, and it's a deadly one at that. They're the ones who carry the loads through avalanches, fix ladders across crevasses, and often retrieve bodies when things go wrong. Many Sherpas believe the mountain itself decides who lives and who dies. It's not about strength or money or fame, it's about respect. And if you don't respect the mountain, it will take you. In recent years, something eerie has been happening on Everest. The ice is melting. Climate change has begun to thaw parts of the mountain that were previously frozen. And as the glaciers start to retreat, they reveal what they've been hiding for decades. The bodies of climbers long thought lost. Sherpas and guides have been reported finding boots sticking out of snow, harnesses buried in ice, even faces emerging from beneath the surface. Some of these remains date back to the earliest expeditions in the 1920s and 30s. In 2019, a team that were working on cleaning the mountain uncovered several new bodies after a particularly warm season, and they expect more. One guide simply described it as, "The mountain is giving back what it took." But this creates new dilemmas. What should happen to the remains? Should they be brought down the mountain and sent back to loved ones? Or should they stay where they've rested for so many years? For many climbers' families, the answer is simple. The mountain has become their tomb, and disturbing those who died so long ago just feels wrong. Others see recovery as a way to bring closure after decades of uncertainty. Yet even as the ice melts and the dead reappear, Everest continues to take new lives. Every season, new names are added to the long list of casualties. The mountain remains undefeated. So what do the bodies on Everest tell us? Well, they tell us of the power of human will and its limits. They tell us how far people will go for glory, for pride, to take that one photograph on top of the world. They tell us about danger, about thinking that we can conquer nature. Because up there, nature always wins. The people who died up on Everest weren't weak or foolish. They were skilled, they were determined, and they were brave. But Everest doesn't care about any of that. Everest doesn't care if you're rich or poor, strong or weak, skilled or untrained. It simply exists, silent, indifferent, and eternal. When you step onto that mountain, you're stepping into a place where the rules of life no longer apply, where time stops, where the air itself turns against you. Some climbers say they find peace up there, but if they were to die on Everest, that they would be happy to stay forever up there in the clouds. Maybe that's why so many choose to rest there. Their bodies are now part of the endless snow of the mountain. But for those who survive, passing those frozen figures on the way up to the summit leaves a mark. It's impossible to forget their faces, the stillness, the silence, the haunting realization that you could easily become one of them. Every climber that tries to summit Everest knows this truth. You're walking into a graveyard, and the difference between your grave and the summit is a few thousand feet. And the higher you go, the more the mountain whispers turn back. Some listen, most don't, and Everest waits patiently, knowing that eventually more will stay behind. Mount Everest has taken hundreds of lives, and it will continue to do so. It's not out of cruelty, it's not out of malice. It's simply that nature never intended for us to go out there. The bodies left on Everest are not just tragedies. They're lessons carved in ice, written in silence. They remind us of the cost of human ambition and what happens in the pursuit of greatness. At the top of the world, where the air fades and time stands still, the dead keep their vigil. Watching, waiting, warning. They are the ghosts of Everest, and they will never come down. You've been watching Nightmare Situations. If you enjoyed the episode, then don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you never miss an episode. And remember, sometimes reality is more terrifying than any nightmare. Thank you for watching.